Coming up on Vegas Nation Blitz, the Raiders move to 2-0 under Antonio Pierce, doing just enough to edge past the New York Jets 16-12. How did our team assess the Silver and Black's performance? And how will they handle the challenge of facing one of the NFL's most explosive teams on the road? All that and more coming up on the Vegas Nation Blitz, starting now.
Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, this is Vegas Nation Blitz. Presented by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.
I tell people all the time in the locker room, don't blink, because this is not a fluke. The work that we put in, I feel like it's going to pay off.
I've been saying this since game one. We can play with anybody. We know we can compete with anybody. And we showed the world. We knew, but we showed the world and put the NFL on notice.
So last week was a lot of emotions. This week we wanted to come out and just play Raider football and, be able to have controlled chaos and keep our emotions in check.
It's kind of to the point where you're just going out there, playing your hardest, playing your best, and trying to help the team win. And if a play comes your way, you need to make the play.
AP talked about synergy, everyone being on the same page, feeding off each other's energy, and I think you feel that out there. There's no panic. You just go out there and get a stop.
I poured my heart into this football, so to be able to help my team win is a blessing.
Good afternoon, football fans. I'm Heidi Fang, filling in for Dre Fox, and this is the Vegas Nation Blitz. The Raiders showed perseverance and gutted it out to get a win on Sunday Night Football. Players are embracing a new attitude and new energy brought on by a pair of wins. But in a game with minimal offensive output and ball security issues, getting their 16-12 victory against the Jets did not come without its challenges. Now up with our top stories is Raiders beat writer Vinny Bonsignore. Vinny, the Raiders are now 2-0 under Antonio Pierce. They dug deep to pull out the win, and the defense came up big for them against the Jets. What did you see this group do right in sealing the victory?
Yeah, I think they did just enough offensively. I don't think anybody expected this to be a high-scoring game or any kind of a shootout. It was going to be a tough physical football game, and they were going to have to maximize their trips to the red zone. And the one time that they got close enough to score a touchdown, they did just that when Aiden O'Connell and Michael Mayer, the two rookies, hooked up with the touchdown. 2 turnovers, you can't have that. That cost them some points when Josh Jacobs fumbled, and also it gave some points to the Jets when Aiden O'Connell threw the interception deep in Raiders territory. So you can't have that. I thought the Raiders did a really good job of stopping the run. They did a decent enough job in terms of the pass defense and not giving up a touchdown. You'll take that every game, and that obviously was the difference in the game.
It was clear Aiden O'Connell had his share of struggles in facing a tenacious Jets defense and pressure in the pocket. What did you think of his progression as the starting quarterback?
That there were two instances where he held on to the ball a little bit too long, or just didn't get rid of it, even to throw it out of bounds to avoid a couple of sacks that knocked him out of field goal range at one point. He thought he played a good, solid game, and I feel like this week against the Miami Dolphins, it'll probably loosen up a little bit more for Aiden O'Connell. So it'll be interesting to see how Aiden O'Connell and this playbook open up and expand against the Dolphins.
The offensive line was shifted around with Colton Miller out due to a shoulder injury. How would you grade their performance against a very physical Jets D-line? As
the game went on, they started imposing their will a little bit more and were able to spring Josh Jacobs loose for the 40-yard gain, and also they ended up getting him over 100 yards. So a B, but you're never going to look. Colton Miller is a Pro Bowl caliber player, so that's a tough one to overcome, but they did a pretty decent job doing that.
D&R House of Diamonds is Las Vegas's elite private office jeweler, the perfect bridge between internet pricing and a traditional brick-and-mortar jewelry store. We specialize in loose diamonds, natural and lab-grown, engagement rings, fashion jewelry, custom design, and jewelry repairs. We operate by appointment in our beautiful offices in the One Summerlin building, downtown Summerlin. Our great relationships with the world's largest diamond wholesalers and our low overhead saves you hundreds, if not thousands, on your purchase.
I think it was a holding call. The entire defense looked at me and said, "No, back them up." Okay. And when they have that kind of conviction, you go with your players, and that's all I did right there. And then kind of played the field position game, thinking that we'll, have a positive play, and we gained. It was plus 12 on that series for us after taking that penalty, so that was a plus. And then the fourth down on offense, it was just, we were kind of rolling. I felt we had the momentum. I felt that we were leaning on them a little bit more. And we had a good play designed for that situation.
Antonio Pierce knew it wasn't a matter of if he would face tough decisions, but when it would happen. The Raiders had their share of struggles in many phases during their Sunday night football game. Up now to grade Pierce's performance and to break down some critical calls made in the game is Review Journal sports columnist and NFL writer Adam Hill.
Yes, it's time for Fast Takes, and we start right there with Antonio Pierce. Look, he said it wasn't going to be perfect. There was going to be some growing pains. We saw that last game. The first game against the Giants, a blowout victory. No real decisions to make. But against the Jets in a close game, a couple of very questionable decisions by Antonio Pierce. One, challenging after a turnover. That's illegal. It's not allowed. That's a lesson learned for sure in communication and other things on the sideline. Then he accepted a penalty when the Jets were going to punt. You really can't do that, put your defense in that position where if they commit a penalty, it keeps the drive alive. That's a lesson learned as well. He did make one very, very good decision. A fourth down in his own territory, up 4 in the fourth quarter. He goes for it. That is a math-driven decision, very sound analytics, except today he said, no, that was my gut. So that's concerning. You want to go with math, not your gut as a coach, but the Raiders will take it 2-0 under Antonio Pierce. And this week, a matchup with Mike McDaniel and the powerful Dolphins offense. Mike McDaniel, a Yale grad. Patrick Graham, defensive coordinator for the Raiders, also a Yale grad. We'll look at Ivy League football with 2 players on the Raiders coming out of the Ivy League in the Review Journal this week.
It's time to take a quick look ahead at the matchup between the Dolphins and Raiders taking place in Miami at 10 a.m. this Sunday with Review Journal sports columnist Sam Gordon.
Sam Gordon checking in here outside the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center where the Raiders are prepping for a trip to South Beach. That's right, going to see the Miami Dolphins. Their high-flying offense ranked first this season in scoring, first in yards, led, of course, by the dynamic combination of Tua Tagovailoa behind center and Tyreek Hill on the perimeter. Don't forget about Jalen Waddle and Devin Achane, who's coming back, been activated from injured reserve in that backfield with Raheem Mostert. That team is loaded with speed, and the Raiders are going to have to keep pace. Coach Antonio Pierce said he anticipates a track meet, and as he should with how prolific the Miami Dolphins offense is, it means his offense is going to have to be on point as well, and that could mean the return of Colton Miller. Miller, the standout left tackle that did not play Sunday. His return to the offensive line would give a much-needed boost to a unit that's going to have to score points to keep pace. The Raiders haven't shown that they can necessarily do that on a consistent basis, but the Dolphins are vulnerable defensively, and the Raiders have found a rhythm with their running game with Josh Jacobs in that big offensive front and are taking care of the football with Aiden O'Connell, who continues to get more and more experience. So a massive matchup, a step up in class for the Raiders, who continue to do so each week under Antonio Pierce. After this comes a battle with the Kansas City Chiefs. But first things first, a trip to South Beach. Raiders, Dolphins on Sunday in South Beach.
This week, Review Journal sports columnist Ed Graney and I got to know more about Raiders offensive tackle Jermaine Eluemunor, who hails from England, though the conversation wasn't entirely about the X's and O's.
I mean, I think that both are technically a mermaid is an alien if you really want to dig into it and get deep. But I think aliens are, it'd be pretty cool to see how they look and what they do. Probably have some crazy technology. My second year in Baltimore, one of my good friends, Pat Ricard, needed to come over to my apartment to do his laundry. So he came over and he was like, hey, bro, I got this show you should watch. I was like, what is he? He's like, anime. I was like, bro, I'm not watching anime. Get out of here. And he puts on this anime called Attack on Titan. And it was like these big monsters. And they, they eat people. And it sounds crazy. It really does. Actually one of the best animes ever. I've done some kickboxing. I wrestled in high school, obviously. I do Muay Thai in the off season. I want to get into jiu-jitsu, but it's kind of, you can get banged up pretty easily in that, so I don't want to jeopardize football. So I'll probably wait till I retire to do that.
Who would give you the toughest tussle?
Probably no one. Maybe Max, because Max is unhinged. I don't know what he would pull out, but I feel like if it's just a straight wrestling match, I'm whooping everyone. But if it's like MMA, then it's a different story. I get every jersey that comes out every year. Which is I got the NFL. Yeah, I have my closet is my wife helps me organize it, so she color codes everything, and she puts all the sports jerseys in a certain place, and the Arsenal jerseys take up a good amount of my closet. I've always wanted to be a dad. There was 3 things I've always wanted to do in life: play football, help others, and be a dad. And I'm playing football. I'm helping others, and being a dad is one of the main things. Even above football, that's something I really wanted, and so I'm so excited for January.
We'd like to thank you all for tuning in to Vegas Nation Blitz. We've got your fast takes and smart coverage on all things Raiders. Make sure to check out vegasnation.com throughout the week for all of the coverage on the team. And be sure to be back here on Saturday for Vegas Nation Game Day. For all of our crew, I'm Heidi Fang. Thank you so much for watching.
Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, this is Vegas Nation Blitz. Presented by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.